Hello and welcome back to Space Engineers. In today's video, we're looking at another large small block rover that has everything you need to go out and about and survive in survival mode, as well as do some exploring in space, because this rover, unlike many rovers I've showcased on this channel, has got thrusters that's been set up to allow it to fly out of planet even on Pertam and go out in space and start exploring like a small little ship. So this thing sitting right behind me is called the Interplanetary Industrial RV, which is, well, this lovely thing over here. So this is from the same creator as a small rover from last week that has the auto dampening system for the gyroscopes, so an event controller will basically micromanage your gyroscopes when you were to do a hard landing, try and absorb most of the impact and limit the amount of damage this vehicle takes. But ultimately what that means is basically going to do a lot of soft landings to the point it feels very odd compared to a traditional vehicle. It's also got a few other little bits and pieces on here that are very useful, such as a one-door airlock system, as well as a way to raise and lower the vehicle, and plenty of ways to get up on top of the vehicle without needing to use your jetpack. It's very conscious about your jetpack usage, which is jolly good stuff. So grab hold my character into showing this straight off the bat. We come around over to here, we've got a very handy set of buttons. The first one, the yellow button, is going to be to open and close that doorway, which is going to be to cycle the airlock. So pressing that, there we go. After a short delay, we can see an interior light is now flashing. It's a rotating light, and after a short delay or open up, that's how you get inside. But of course that is very high off the ground, so we need to lower this down by using one of these two grey buttons right here. The top one's going to of course be to raise it all the way up, and the bottom one is going to be to lower all the way down. So now what I can do is just run, jump, and get inside. A little bit wonky, but I managed to get in, and here we are. And of course to actually close up the doorway, there we go, it's now going to lock the door, so now you can't accidentally open it up, allow all the oxygen. Of course there's another yellow button right there that we can press to cycle the airlock once again, and of course to open it up after a short delay. And of course we've got another grey button up there which we'll use to raise the vehicle off the ground to make sure we're ready to drive away. Then for the rest of this thing, this is one of the first vehicles I've seen utilise the small block decorative items in the latest update. So we've got our beds right here where you can get to this bottom one and get blinded by the battery right there, or you can get to the top one and view out the doorway to see who's coming in and out at night. Then up here and around, we've got a bunch of our kitchen blocks we can open and close there and do a little RP on our adventure. And then behind us got all the gobbledygook of everything that's making this vehicle function, how it does, and of course a few scripts here and there to tell you what's going on with the vehicle, such as your interior, your battery power, power remaining, and all of that. But yes, come back to this bit later. I'm going to hop out here, close up that doorway, and just leave my character like so. With the pre-camera once again, press the F10, finding the spawn menu, the Interplanetary Industrial RV, which does have a special name, I'm not going to try and pronounce that, is 1037 small blocks using a bunch of the DLC packs. We see up to here that it's a luxury industrial looking RV produced by the ATR for long scouting missions. Indeed, it flies and is capable of taking off from Pertam's atmosphere at a full load, which is bloody good stuff for a small little land vehicle. Down to here's your specifications of everything's got on there, as well as its PCU, and of course all the stuff it can do on there, such as the safe landing take, which I already talked about and showcased in a previous video, but I will go through that later on in this video. And of course down there's a few other little pieces with a bunch of symbols, so give this thing a thumbs up, move around towards the very front, have a quick look around the outside, go and have a proper look at the interior, though we sort of covered most of it already. Then we'll go through all the things it can do, drive around on Pertam, then we just fly around, go into space, and slam it into an asteroid, because why not? So for the very front of the Interplanetary Industrial RV, this is what we get, where as you can see we've got a ladder front and centre, one of three ladders that appear in this vehicle. Now, what you might be thinking is why a ladder is right there. Could it be a bumper, or could it be for some decoration? And the answer is probably yes. Although in my opinion, it's something that's very handy to have as a spare item, so you don't have to carry around the resources on you, because you never know when you might need an extra ladder. So say you went out to a pirate outpost, now you need to somehow get up there, but your jetpack is very low on fuel. You then grind this up, place on the ladder onto that structure, weld it up, then climb up to it to avoid using said jetpack. Anyway, to left and right of that, we've got a heat vent in yellow colouring. Below that, we've got some spotlights to light up the darkness. Behind the ladder, as you can see it right here, we've got an ore detector, then a sneaky little camera that is slightly covered up when you actually view through it, so do be aware of that. And of course, surrounding all that, we've got some blaster edge blocks to help absorb any impacts that you have when you do a head-on collision. Then all the way up to here, above our heat vent, we've got some blue lights for an extra bit of decoration. Onto this part, a bunch of window blocks, and there's some transparent LCD screens, so you see what's going on from the driver's seat, about what the vehicle is doing. And all the way up here, we've got a fancy flat Gatling turret from the latest DLC pack, then a rotating antenna made out once again an item from the latest DLC pack. And all the way down, onto the side, there we go, we see one wheel at the front, then two at the back, to give it a nice sort of stability while driving around. Up here on the front, to the left of our doorway, we then got an angled floodlight, again from the latest DLC pack. Over here we see the start of many hydrogen thrusters go all around this thing to help it fly up mountainsides, or, like the vehicle is made for, go out into space. Right next to it is an air vent sucking oxygen from surrounding areas to help refill up your tanks. Then over here is your doorway for your buttons, we've already gone through them. Towards the back here, here's the 2 other wheels, and then a couple more hydrogen thrusters to pull you off the ground. Moving a bit closer, looking all the way down, there we go, got a little connection point right there, which I believe is your conveyor converter. Anyway, down there we see some flat atmospheric thrusters once again to help this thing fly and get out of the planet atmosphere, as well as to do some big jumps across a massive ravine, or like I said just a second ago, go up a mountainside. There's of course a bunch of gyroscopes there to help maneuver this thing around. Then towards the back there, another hydrogen thruster. And at the very back here, even more hydrogen thrusters, some more gyroscopes. Over here across a strip of beam blocks, we then got a half hinge, which is how we're going to be able to connect this thing up to a trailer to drag that along on our adventure. Up to here's a spare wheel, which is very much like the ladder at the front there. So if you ever lost a wheel for whatever reason, you then grind up this so you have the resources without needing to actually carry it in the ship or in your inventory. Anyway, across there's another little air vent. There's your connector to actually dock up. Down to there's a beacon right next to that gyroscope. And of course we've got 2 more lights to act as your small little brake lights. Anyway, back there we've got our yellow blocks, this strip of hazard skin. All the way up to here looking down, there's your 3rd ladder. And of course the solar panel to give it a nice bit of renewable power. Over onto this side, is then your parachute and I believe a beacon type thing. I'm going to have to actually double check that one. So coming up here with my grinder, all the way up. There we go. And there we are, that's the broadcast controller, which I'm not too familiar with. Anyway, character can bugger off over there. There we go, back into this, across to here, looking at it like so. So on the opposite side, we see we've got another hydrogen thruster, but it's not symmetrical with the hydrogen thruster you see on the left-hand side. No, this one's right at the very back here, next to that connector. In fact, it's connected onto that connector. And this one's over here, where that broadcast controller is basically sitting. All the way across, there's an exhaust pump, wall shooting out smoke, but I turned it off just to save your eyes while taking a look at the top here. Over here is then your rotating antenna. We've got antenna dish on there, a bunch of steel blocks, has skin on the back there, and then your rotor to actually make it rotate. In this part, we then see some conveyor camps. This one is sitting on top of an air vent right there. And of course, we can see the windows appear inside, a small little living quarters, with living quarters right there, then the hodgepodge of all of our technical stuff right on that side. Over in this part, there's your flat Gatling turret. Then onto there's your warhead battery to give it a nice bit of power. There's your ladder to be able to climb all the way up on top of this thing without needing to use your jetpack. There's a hydrogen engine on that section. There's your window that goes onto your kitchen bay. On that side, there we go. We see some hydrogen tanks, a bunch of columns, and some more hydrogen thrusters. Over in that part, there's your floodlight once again. Air vent, more thrusters. On the very front there we go. Moving all the way down underneath this thing, there we are. Really not too much to talk about here. Bunch of steel blocks, bunch of blast edge blocks, more hydrogen thrusters, more gyroscopes, and of course our wheel suspensions. Towards the back there's a bunch of atmospheric thrusters, more gyroscopes, more thrusters, more suspensions. And then it's back there with your truss block that goes all the way across to your little half hinge. And with that, that's a very brief look around the outside of the Interplanetary Industrial RV. And this bloody fantastic has been set up. A lot of stuff is going on here. A lot of the new blocks have been put to very good use all around this inside and out. And well, it's just a fantastic thing to have in survival mode if you want to have a first exploration rover that can double as your first little ship. So grab and hold my character once again. It's time to have another look at the inside here. So coming all the way across, pressing the yellow button, pressing that one, drop it all the way down. And now what I can do is just all the way up to here, jump, and now on the inside. So the door right behind me, once again, it does seal us inside until we press that yellow button right there. First of all, where do we have to look? I suppose what I'll do is come up to this section and look behind us. And there we are. Like I said, it's just a massive hodgepodge of all different stuff going on there, all very useful stuff, and a bit of decoration here and there to break it all up. So looking at this side, here we go, we've got 2 little beds. Behind there's then our warfare batteries. Over here's a small little weapon locker to store, well, weapons and ammunition inside. Looking all the way up and around. There we go. Then coming up this side, onto these lovely wooden steel blocks. Now look at this, we've got a small little passage seat sit on right there. We can view out the window just about. Below there's a cargo kit if you store a few bits and bobs inside. There's your survival kit to respawn on and of course to recharge yourself. With a useful LCD screen telling you your cargo used. And of course your weight. Then behind there's going to be for your cargo extension block, or your modular cargo even, so you can store a nice bit of stuff inside there. Behind it is a bunch of event controllers, but we've sort of already gone through them, and I'll demonstrate what they can do a bit later on. Down to here's a console block, and then you see some more columns with some sound blocks on top. Nice strip of hazard going all the way along the bottom there. Then across here, here's your air vent, warfare reactor, automaton time blocks, which do look odd from this angle. Much more use for that section right there, which is seen below that programmable block, being on the front. But anyway, speaking of the programmable block, this is what we get. We've got a battery charge, we've got the power remaining. Then you've got our reactors, engines, solar power, batteries, stored output input, then our total, which is right at the very bottom. Then of course down below there we see our actual power and hydrogen usage. Then onto this side, another weapon locker. Here's then your microwave, hydrogen tank, and there's your oven to open and close. Across here is then your sink to clean up all your dishes. Down below there is your fridge to open and close. Over here is your little coffee maker. Then over onto this side we then got a curved LCD screen telling us our ammo, our tools inside, and of course our ingot summary to refine them all up. Looking towards the front, there we go, and that little blue light up there. Then all the way across into this part, here we go, another little seat to sit on. There's an entertainment center, a few more cargo containers for you to store stuff inside, more event controllers, and then your seat to actually sit in. So sitting inside here and looking all around, there we go. And the third person view, bring up the HUD, here are all the controls. So number one's going to be to turn your parking brakes on and off so we can actually drive it around, or bring it to a stop. Number two is for that camera below that ladder, and like I said, part of the view is covered up, but still perfectly fine seeing what's going on ahead of you, and make sure you avoid any kind of pesky rocks that appear out of nowhere. Number four is then to activate your hydrogen thrusters, where pressing number 4 is going to turn them all on, apart from ones and the front, so we're going to effectively be put into a cruise control setup. So pressing spacebar, we go all the way up, there we are, now moving forwards, we're not going to slow down. Number 6 to turn that off, then we'll come down to the ground, and our event controller will kick in, make sure we have a nice soft landing. Of course, we've got number 5 then to turn on our thrusters manually if you want to do that, so now we can move forwards and backwards and all of that. We press number 6 to then turn it off. Number 8 is then to manually take over your turret on top. We now just spin that around and start shooting it. Then of course number 9 is to turn it on and off, so if you don't want to automatically blast enemies, you have that option. On to tab number 2, we then got, like the previous vehicle I showcased from this creator, a drift block. So actually driving this thing around, if you can actually drive around, not too sure what's happened here, it seems to have broken a little bit. So here we are in a brand new one, which is fully working, as you can see from the tracks on the ground. Although the previous one was working correctly, it was the fact that I didn't raise it off the ground after lowering it to get inside. So that was my mistake, there was nothing wrong with the vehicle. But no, on to pad number 2, moving forwards, now press number 1, and here we go, we now just drift around here. I will act all snooty in front of your friends. Turn that on before we reach the cliff edge, oh god, no, we're going to press number 4. And there we go, we now just do that, come down to the ground nice and smoothly, and avoid any kind of unnecessary crashes. There we are. And of course I can press number 1, turn that all the way up, and we come to a stop. Anyway, number 5 is good for your parachute hatch to open and close that. So say your thrusters got damaged or you ran out of fuel, you now just open that up and safely come down to the ground. On to tab number 3, then got your hydrogen engine on and off, your survival kit on and off, your O2 HU generator on and off, your wheels on and off, antenna dish on and off, and then your ore detector on and off, so you can go out and bounce scan for all patches with this thing, which is bloody good stuff for an exploration rover. On tab number 4, we've got our thrusters, so we can put this into an override if you want to do that. Then finally, once again, we've got on and off for our thrusters all the way around this ship. Checking tab number 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9, we've got nothing else, so now it's time to properly drive this thing around and see how it handles. So starting off in a first person view, undoing the brakes, moving forwards, here we go. And we're going to start to drive this thing around. We're going to go over to the right hand side. Oh god, that still looks like a cliff over here, so press number 4. And I go all the way up. I might damage something on the front there, but it should not matter because we've got the ladder, and then of course we've got the blaster edge blocks. So here we go, now flying around with number 4, and we're going to come down to the grounds. Here we go, press number 6, turn off them, and there we are, a nice soft landing. Now driving around here is going to be very, very scary in first person view, because we are going to do bounce around here, but still, like the previous vehicle, it's going to be very, very safe. The event controller is going to handle everything to make sure we do have soft landings, and any kind of damage we do take likely will be absorbed by the blaster edge blocks below the ship and on the front of it. Of course, we do have that ladder for extra protection, though like I said, that's more for utility or for a bit of decoration. So in the third person view, this is what it's like, which is going to bounce around the sand dunes here. And eventually, we'll also go up in speed. Hopefully, we'll get up to about 100 meters per second. Might need to find a flat surface to actually go over to. No, we're going to keep going here. And this is basically all it does, and which is how fantastically this thing handles. But anyway, while we're actually flying around here, what we'll do now is press number 4. And here we go all the way up. So yes, we can go all the way up into space like the creator said. So here we go, holding down spacebar, holding down forwards, and up and up and up we go. And as you can see, our hydrogen is ticking down. We're now at 91. It will slowly go down, but we should be able to get out of the atmosphere and should be able to fly through space. And I suppose what we could do to actually finish off the video now thinking about it while we're slowly traveling out of the atmosphere is then send it back down to the planet to see how it handles, see how the event controller handles it by using the parachutes without using the thrusters. So as you see, we are now in 0.09 G's of gravity. We are very slowly leaving it, although we are about to leave it and get into space. A little look all around this thing. There we go, there's a planet all the way down there. There's a bunch of large craters. And we're now going all the way up into space. We've got this lovely Halo Skybox, which I believe is an Arid Skybox. And there we are. We are now in 0.0 G's of gravity. We are in space. We are just driving this around like a little ship. It's a very odd thing to do, considering the actual shape and design of this vehicle. But no, what we want to do is now come all the way down to the planet once again. There's not too much else to talk about with this vehicle. It's very self-explanatory what it does. It's a fantastic looking vehicle inside and out. It's got a lot of stuff going on with it, which is super useful for survival mode. That should last you a very long time in survival mode, considering the way it has been set up, and considering you can use it in space as a small little ship. So here we are now 1.7k meters away from the ground. We're now going to rotate this around. There we go. Now going to turn off the thrusters. And now, here we go. We're going to come all the way down to the ground. Hopefully this works. 3, 2, 1, and there we go. That was quite a heavy clonk. We made a big hole. Actually, looking at the vehicle, it looks like nothing actually was damaged. What I am going to do now is bring this to a stop. Out of here, open up the door. Now we're going to hop out, come all the way down. And yes, it looks like we did take a little bit of damage right there, although I believe I landed on the opposite side, so I'm not too sure how this got damaged. But it looks like it is sort of in one piece. Oh, we lost our survival kit. But no, for a direct fall from space at maximum speed, that's actually very impressive. But that's the only part that got damaged, which is some steel blocks. It's a survival kit. Looking around here. Oh, it looks like we have lost our ladder, but I might have lost that when we actually started to drive this thing around to the opposite side. All in tip-top condition. Coming actually down below it. I believe I will need to use a free camera for this. Might be able to scoot myself all the way down. And around. But no, it actually looks like it's all in perfectly fine condition. Just that part right there that took damage. On the inside here, actually having a good look. Here we come around. Nope, it was just the survival kit got damaged and a few steel blocks. So there we are with that. And yes, like I said, that is pretty much it for this rover has to offer. It's a fantastic little thing to use in your world in survival mode. If you do want to have a jack of all trades vehicle, go out and scouting on a planet, through space, and of course have nice little bits of decoration to actually get roleplay on if you're into that type of thing. So there'll be a link to a description below to which style to play around yourself. Highly recommend you do. As well as a link to the Skybox I'm currently using, as well as a link to the mod I'm using to remove the atmosphere from the planet with the atmospheric effects on planet Pertam. And I'll be back with another video sometime soon. Bye bye.